Hello there. I can't even say good morning today. This is not going to be a feel-good episode today. I'm coming on because I've had people asking me my thoughts on what happened yesterday. And of course, I'm talking about Charlie Kirk. And it's upsetting. But there's lots of different pieces to be upset about. And we're going to talk about it. And let me start by saying what a lot of other people I've seen have said, which is if you've come here to espouse your hatred in the comments, don't bother. Anyone that wants to celebrate or justify the assassination of someone just for speaking their mind is appalling. For anyone that may not know what I'm talking about, and I believe most of you probably know by now, Charlie Kirk was shot and killed yesterday. Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk was, I hate that you have to say was now. He's a young man. He's all of 31 years old, husband of a stay-at-home mom with 2 little girls. He was Christian, and yes, he was conservative. By modern standards, conservative. He was a big voice in the Make America Great Again movement. He was in Trump's corner. But above that, the man stood for free speech. He stood for free speech, and he believed in getting out there, going to the next generation, and actually talking to them as opposed to at them. Charlie Kirk started his career by going to college campuses, setting up a table, and inviting people to come and debate with him. You could talk about anything that you wanted to. Doesn't matter how difficult, how hard the conversation was. If you had questions, if you wanted to debate a point of view, he welcomed you to come and talk to him. He was doing the same thing yesterday. He started yesterday by saying, okay, University of Utah, which is where he was, bring your questions. Your sharpest minds, your hardest questions, bring them on. Let's go. Let's get started. Let's talk about this. During his second conversation, which happened to be about gun violence, he was shot and killed. Now, I don't know who shot him. I have an idea because I saw a man put into custody that was repeating to the cops that he had the right to remain silent. Now, you know that if you are being arrested and you say, I have the right to remain silent, I have the right to remain silent, that says something. I heard reports that he also said that he would do it again. Now, I don't know if that's true, because you can't believe things that you hear from not just the media, which is true, but anyone. You just can't believe the things that you hear. You can't anymore, no more. And that's sad. Which brings up the bigger problem. Someone, supposedly, because we don't know for sure, someone didn't like him talking to the youth of America. Didn't like what he had to say to the next generation. And so they shot him. That's not okay. Hey, yeah, sorry, future me stepping in here. Since I have gotten back from the ride, there has been some new news that I wanted to include. What I said before about the older man that was getting arrested, shouting what his rights were. Evidently, I can't say evidently, possibly this man was a plant. There's evidence now that there was actually a man on the roof directly across from where Charlie Kirk was that literally hitman style shot him, and that possibly this other man was there to draw attention, which obviously he did. So there'll be more that comes out of this as it unfolds. That makes this less about an individual being intolerant and angry, and more about a group, more about the possibility of it being some bigger conspiracy against the entire Make America Great Again movement, which is actually more of a concern. Now, this new information in no way negates what I'm saying on this ride. That's all still very much the truth, very much my opinion, very much my question. But it just adds another layer to it. A disturbing layer. I had the same concern when Trump was shot. And it's amazing that how nothing has turned up for that. During the Black Lives Matter movement, we mysteriously had bricks delivered to where these violent riots took place. I was literally in Savannah and saw the pallet of bricks that was there. These are not just coincidences. So I don't know what to think about that. Because again, even if there is a hate group that's doing this, which is terrorism, right? This is terrorist activity. We have to be able to identify them. And the thing about terrorist groups is most of them stand up and take credit for whatever's happened. That has not been the case here. So, scary times. Anyway, let's get back to the ride. I think the last time, or at least one of the last times that I did one of these morning rides, was when Trump was shot. I've kind of made, this section of the show, the morning ride, a place where I can come on, speak what's on my mind, and it just happens to be that a lot of times whatever's on my mind is whatever's happened. Now, there's been lots of coverage about what happened yesterday, obviously, in the news. Now, you guys know what I think about the media and the bias that's in the media, and yesterday was no exception. MSNBC was which is a uber liberal news organization, was reporting on what happened and couldn't help but put their bias in the middle of what was being said. The audacity. Number one, they said that shots were fired and they didn't know if he was shot. If you've seen the footage, and I recommend you don't, there is no question that the man was shot. So saying that is asinine. Then they said that they didn't know if this wasn't some supporter shooting off their gun in celebration. Misinformation, misdirection. Then they started talking about how the Trump administration was going to use this incident to justify something else. Guys, this was a human being. This was a father. Now, since then, most of the media that I have seen has stopped saying things like that. But instead, what they're doing is trying to turn the conversation into being about gun control, which is not a surprise. I actually heard on the radio this morning somebody saying that they wondered now that someone from the conservative side of things has now had someone shot and killed, if it would change their stance on gun control. Number one, no, it doesn't. Number two, if we're talking about gun control because of this, you have missed what happened. This was not about gun control. This was about silencing people that have a different opinion than yours. In the most despicable way possible. People that are coming on the media, and I'm including YouTube, TikTok, any media coverage that's out there, not just the big networks. People that are coming on the media and posting on social media trying to justify what happened yesterday is sickening. I don't care what you think about what the man said. He had the right to say it. Just the same as you have the right to your opinion. In America, this is true. One of the best things about this country is your freedom of thought and freedom to speak whatever's on your mind. That does not give you the right to stop someone else from doing the same thing. I have seen people posting about how it's justified because of the things that were coming out of his mouth. I don't care what came out of his mouth. I don't care what he thought. I don't care how you felt about what he thought. You do not have the right to take another person's life for what they thought. For the things that go on in their head and come out of their mouth. Not lay hands on anybody. He wasn't even raising his voice to somebody. And do you think that's okay? justifying it, saying it's because he thought this, he said that. None of that makes any difference. It's not okay. Period. So you're wrong. I don't care if you don't like that I said it, you're wrong. My opinion, my truth. Now, on the other side, another thing that worries me is that I have seen people saying that Charlie Kirk is a martyr, and he was. But they are now going to war because of what has happened. And wars have been started for much less than someone being assassinated. My issue with that, and I have the same issue every time something like this happens. My issue is, who are you going to go to war against? I mean, really, what are you going to do? You know, Trump came on and made a very nice statement about how he condemned what happened, talking about how great of an individual Charlie Kirk was because he knew him personally. And condemning the media for demonizing opposing thought, which is good. I'm doing the same thing. I was talking to my wife this morning about what had happened and why I was going to come on here and talk to you folks, besides the fact that people have asked. I think that at my age, I'm Gen X, that I feel a responsibility, not a personal responsibility, but a societal responsibility for the generations that come after us. And what I see going on is worrisome. Now, if I didn't have that sense of responsibility, I wouldn't say anything. But if you want to know why it is I'm coming on, that's why. The discourse in this country has gotten so bad, and I don't know what to do about it. My family has lost people because of this, because of the genuine hatred that is coming towards people of an opposing view. So I've seen it personally. You've probably seen it personally as well. People that have literally been so hateful. Now, you can call it wokeness. You know, Elon called it the woke mindset. You can call it Trump derangement syndrome. You can call it whatever you want. What it is intolerance and hatred towards people that think differently than you do. The best thing about America is you being able to think differently than other people do. Now, does that make it treason to say otherwise? I don't know. It's not breaking a law. Maybe there should be a law that not only do you have a right to free speech, but you can't stop someone else from doing free speech. Maybe that would fix it. Or that'd probably just yield more problems. But the problem is that in America now, the leaders on the left particularly are calling for violence on a repetitive basis towards people that they disagree with. That's the problem. And I say it's on the left because I haven't seen it on the right. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It means I haven't seen it. I'm sure it exists on both sides. They're just not the loudest. And I have the same thing to say to you that I have to say to the people that are on the left. People are allowed to have their opinion. You are allowed to disagree. You should celebrate disagreeing with someone and your right to disagree with them. To me, what makes this country great, what makes humanity great, is all the different thoughts and the different viewpoints that people can have and still get along. Well, the problem is that still getting along is going away. And it's been like that for a while. But back to the going to war statement, how do you fight that? How do you fight something that is not an organization? This is an individual problem. This is a societal problem. This is something that every individual chooses on their own, is to be hateful and intolerant of other people. I may disagree with you. Lord knows I disagree with lots of people. But I think you have the right to say something that I disagree with. And if you have a different point of view with me, I will still talk to you. I celebrate talking to you. Please, if you want to have a conversation, put your thoughts down in the comments. We'll talk about it. But don't try to justify hatred. Not in the comments, not when you're talking to somebody at the water cooler. It's not okay. But really, how do you fix this problem? I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. Let me know, what are your thoughts? How do you fix this problem? Do you set up a law to be against people that are infringing on other people's rights? Is that the solution? I just see that as being something else to be abused. I am not one of these people that believes in legislating morality. I am not someone that believes in over legislation at all. And I guess in this situation, as I'm thinking through it, I guess it's not really about morality, because we're talking about somebody infringing on somebody else's rights. Just the same as kidnapping them would be infringing on their rights. Maybe this is a thought. My fear, however, is that it would be abused, because humans abuse things. Somebody would get in a disagreement with somebody else, which they have every right to do, and then if it led to a fight or something, people would be arrested. And maybe that's okay. You know? Maybe that's alright. I don't know. I don't know. So what do you guys think about this? Do you recognize that there's a problem with people being intolerant to the point of violence? In this case, the absolute worst elevation of violence. I think that the media should be held accountable for putting divisive speech out there as blatantly as they are. Now, you have the right to your opinion if you're doing a commentary. You have the right to speak your mind, to report your mind. But know that it's your opinion. And let other people know that it's your opinion. But these little sideways comments that MSNBC and CNN are putting out there as news, it's not okay. So I condemn the media for what they're doing. It used to be, you turned on the news and you got facts. Well, the facts weren't entertaining enough. So when the news became something you could make profit off of, is when they changed to make it about commentary. So like I said, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think the solution is? First, do you recognize that there's a problem? I know that my family has lost people, friendships. I know people that have lost family members over this intolerance of people's other point of view. So I know it's real. And you can see it in the news where politicians are getting up and calling for violence. Oh, that doesn't happen. Yes, it does. I've seen it in the news. It does happen. It has happened. And I can name names about who's doing it. I've also seen in the news where they're trying to play this scoring game, right? They're saying that, nobody said anything when so-and-so. Really? Is that where you're going? It's wrong no matter what side did it. That's not the point. And it's not about gun violence. It's not about guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Guns are nothing more than a very sophisticated way of throwing a rock at somebody. Very fast. So no, I don't think this is about gun control. This is about controlling people's intolerance. That's what this is about. And it's about free speech. The right to free speech. Which is where the intolerance comes in. So what do you think? What do you think the solution to this is? Assuming you recognize that it's a problem. Because it's not like there's an organization that is leading this charge and you can go fight that organization. Members of blah. I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe passing a law against people infringing is the answer. People showing intolerance. What do you think about that? I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm saying I thought of it just a few minutes ago on this ride. Have you lost anybody in your own life to this intolerance? I have seen and heard and felt the results of intolerance. People that, oh, if you voted this way, then, you know, you're a horrible person, and I'm going to insult you, or I'm not going to talk to you anymore, or I'm not going to be your friend, even though they've known each other for 15 years. Family members that can't talk to each other anymore because they disagree on the political spectrum. I don't care what the political stance or topic is. That's not the point. The point is you're allowed to stand on different things and to have different opinions. That's the point. If you and your father don't get along over men being allowed in women's restrooms, fine. If you think that there should be gay rights and your mother doesn't, fine. You're allowed to have your own opinion. And they're allowed, particularly as your parents, to talk to you about your opinion and their opinion. So to me, this intolerance is the problem. That intolerance is being fed to society from the media and from Democratic leaders, Democratic Party leaders, not actual Democratic as the adjective. Every time that AOC or the old black Democrat representative, I don't know what her name is, or the person that Trump calls Pocahontas, I can't remember her name either. Every time they spew hatred and intolerance, they should be held accountable. Because it's killing people. It's either killing them internally by dividing families and friendships, or in this case, it's taking the life out of people, literally. And that's not okay. And I think it's coming from the media, who is doing it just to get ratings. And it's not working. Do you have an audience? Yes, you do. But those audience members are taking your word, making you responsible, because they're not thinking on their own. I think we should promote individual thinking and personal responsibility. This group thinking is a problem, particularly when it leads to discourse, violence, separating of families, friends. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Have you known anyone that has been the victim of intolerance? I do. More than one. And what do you think the answer is? How are we going to fix the intolerance in this country? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So I'm going to take a moment to recognize and to applaud Charlie Kirk for standing up for himself, for reaching out to the next generation and giving them the opportunity to speak their mind and encouraging them to think on their own. It's a great thing. I also want to speak my condolences to his family, his friends, to those that knew him. It is a tragedy. And people need to think about how this is affecting his family. When you put out there more of your intolerant speech and your justification for this horrible act, his children will see that. The internet does not forget. And that's not okay. That makes you a bad person. So, I encourage you, let's talk about it. Put it in the comment section. I literally don't know what else to say. I'm done.
When people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
Before I go on a college campus, my prayer is very simple. God, use me for your will.
Amen.
Because there's a plan
To save the greatest culture and country ever to exist. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens. Because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity. Marriages break apart when you stop talking, churches fall apart. And I think what makes this country on the verge of going to a place we don't want it to go right now is we're afraid to go to places like this and have these conversations. I'm not.
I'm just flesh and bone, but more importantly, I'm a soul. And that soul is accountable to one being. I mean, I've had an unbelievably blessed life. Been doing this now, it'll be 12 years on June 5th.
Such a young man to do it.
So young.
Yeah, so praise God. I mean, I've been all across the world. I've met with world leaders. I've flown in Air Force One, got to know a president. I have an amazing family. The podcast, Turning Point USA, is all that stuff. And so you experience that and you're like, what actually matters? What matters is your relationship with the divine, your relationship with your family, your kids, and maybe a close collection of friends, and your relationship with the truth.
Charlie Kirk, you're in the lower room, bitch. Oh, fucking finally, you bitches starting to move and shit, bitch. It's in your real shooter. Stop sitting. Y'all gonna sit in damn. Oh, thank you. And then people talking about some words can't hurt you.